It's a funny game, this. You feel that you've got enough of something. You've got your bases covered. And then something comes along that is just so beautiful, you're tempted once again to stray. I've already got 2 posh saturation boxes. Surely there's no need for more. Until I saw a picture. I mean, that's nothing. You have to see these guys' studio. KERWAX, it's a French company, and they've got this studio. Just check this out. It's a residential studio based in Brittany. Look at all of that juicy kit, but also just the rooms look amazing. This backline, I want to stay in that bedroom. I want to run up and down that attic there. I just have to go there. So, a couple of days ago, this turned up. And the thing is, it glows. So what is it? Well, it's a replica of a French desk from the 1970s. It has basically 2 tubes per channel, one which is just a preamp and the other which is actually a drive tube for saturating the signal. Thing is, I've already got 2 posh distortion saturator boxes, the classic thermionic VULTURE, which back in the day used to have air inlets on the side because it would overheat and catch fire. And then my favourite piece of Outboard, the OVERSTAYER. So is there really a place for yet another saturator? Well, I thought before taking you through the controls, I'd run some signals through the KERWAX, the OVERSTAYER, and the VULTURE. So I'm going to start with Abe Laboriel drums, which has an amazing, I'm just using the close signal, has an amazing kick. I recorded this many years ago, and basically what we did is we did this shotgun kick technique, which is basically standard kick with another kick drum but without the kick on it in front of it, and used the sound wave from the first kick to trigger the second. So it has this richness, which is pretty extraordinary. So let me lay down a beat for that. People are going to be complaining for my lack of groove. Let's just keep that 2 bars. I always do swing beat. So that's Abe. Okay, so this is live. Okay, so what I've done is I've re-attenuated the returns so that everything is at the same level. Let's listen to the VULTURE. I mean, it's an absolute beast, the VULTURE. And in fact, I'll show you in a minute how you can saturate fully so the signal just completely disappears. This is the OVERSTAYER. I guess the key difference with the OVERSTAYER is it has a compressor, and what that's doing is compressing the transients and bringing up the room. So there's no extra reverb or anything. It's just quite extraordinary how it brings out the room sound. Again, very different. And then the KERWAX. Which sounds to me somewhat offended by the kick drum. Right, on to a Joanna. OVERSTAYER. Much more of what I'd call a standard saturation, and then the KERWAX. Already hearing a bit of warmth there compared to the other 2. Okay, let's look at what this KERWAX replica is all about. So it works in left and right, standard stereo, and then mono and sides. I don't really understand what that means. If you want to take people's brains out through their nostrils, you've got polarity shifts on both channels. There we go. It's dribbling out of my left nostril now. These are basically trims. It's kind of the input gain, both the channels independent of each other. And we're just using these two valves. These are the preamp tubes. These are mutes. This is just with it bypassed, and then that's with the preamp in. We've got EQ, so just bypassing that. So we've got first bias. I don't really know what that is. Is it a kind of a mid? Again, please put in the comments down below. Treble. So these are a fixed frequency. And then bass. Again, lovely frequency. And then there's a high pass filter. Before we put on drive, you'll notice these four knobs don't do anything when the drive is bypassed. It's because they actually control the drive tubes in the middle here. So this controls the amount of gain going into the tube, and the volume helps you kind of attenuate the sound. So if it's getting too hot for wherever you're sending it, you can re-attenuate with the volume. So you'll notice the timbre doesn't change, just the amplitude. It's interesting, what I've done is I've actually sampled just a single low A to have a look on the spectrograph exactly how these different distortion units are handling it. And it's pretty interesting. This is the live signal, so you can see there's all of that fundamental there with just a tiny hint of harmonics above it, but just the tiniest. And then the KERWAX, you'll see that there's this oscillation that is happening. So it's creating a lot of harmonics there, but also there's this chaotic oscillation happening, which is, I guess, creating a degree of what to our ears is white noise. That's oscillating between harmonic rich stuff and all of that white noise. So if we have a look at the KERWAX, you'll see that it's actually very chaotic. It's adding some harmonics in there, but then there's just basically this oscillation, which is the majority of the signal, which is, I think, what gives it its slightly chaotic sound compared to the overstayer, which is giving us more of the upper harmonics, and then this, well, it must be kind of oscillating bits of white noise, basically, which gives us that fartiness and also implies a frequency. It's a kind of a form of frequency modulation, I guess. And then finally, the culture vulture is the most interesting because it's totally consistent, but you'll see it's basically creating a minor amount of overtones there, which is why I guess it's probably would prove to be the fattest of the distortions. But it's got these extraordinarily paired oscillations that are absolutely consistent. Again, very chaotic, but I just find the fact that it's oscillating in twos fascinating. Would you have any idea why it's doing that? Stick it in the comments down below. So, scratchers next. Has, to my ears, a kind of vintage feel about it that I think is fascinating. And let's finally end up on stuff that suits a bit of distortion, the guitar. Okay, so what I want to start with now is just what I would refer to almost as a British sound, just a little bit of crunch, just a little bit of breakup. And I'll do that for each of these instruments on each of these units. And this is, I suspect, having played with it for a few days, where the KERWAX comes into its own and finds its place in this studio. Just using it as a channel. My verdict is it's absolutely extraordinary. I can't wait to get out to that studio to meet the people behind it. And you never know, we might be doing that soon. Links to the KERWAX and the KERWAX studio is in the video description down below. What good-looking bit of kit has tempted you to stray off the loyal path? Put your answers in the comments down below. I do read them. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We've got some really great stuff coming up. Ding that bell to be notified the next time I put a video up, and one of those for KERWAX. They're just awesome.